Thank you, Tammy. Thanks for having me. I'm looking forward to sharing some of this with you over the next 3 weeks. As you know, I've been in the hospitality and spa world prior to moving to Nevada and becoming a full-time writer, editor, and artist, which were all things that were introduced to me at an early age, a lot by librarians, as a matter of fact. And I just wanted to, extend kudos to all of you for being some of the unsung heroes of this pandemic and being, truly essential workers. And going through the summaries of past meetings, seeing what you guys are grappling with, really gave me even more respect for what you are doing. So thank you for your service, and thanks for being patient. And I know it can be incredibly difficult. So what I want to share with you today is kind of a foundational approach to understanding how to deal with what you call patrons, which I, in my career, called guests. And the foundation of effective communication is always going to be that basic level of rapport that you generate with somebody, or that someone generates with you. And in fact, 93% is the shocking number of your ability to influence somebody, to get them to do what you want them to do, or to help them get what they want out of the exchange. That is all non-content related, non-verbal, in the way that your voice tonality, your physicality, your facial expression, all of these things come into play. And whether you realize it or not, there's this unconscious assessment going on that we all do. We're primates. And if you've ever watched people in a restaurant on a date, a couple say, and you watch as they pick up their glasses at the same time, they pick up the fork at the same time, we unconsciously mirror one another. And it's actually a primate bonding behavior. And we still do this unconsciously. So knowing that, having some additional awareness of what's going on these subtle layers will help you in these different exchanges, and even in some of the really challenging exchanges that you're going to face and that you do. Great. Can I actually operate my own slides here?
Dylan will, I think, should be able to share with you. So if you go to the bottom, you can see she'll turn it over to you.
Well, hi, Tammy. Hi, Penny. So I have the slides on my computer, so you can't operate them. If you have them up on your screen, I can.
I do have them up on my screen, so if I can go ahead and share my screen.
Right.
That'll work just
so I'm going to make you co-host, and then you can go right ahead and share your screen.
Great. Thank you. All right. Go for it here.
You got it?
Yes. And can you see my screen now?
No.
Okay. Let me, you know what? Why don't we do this? Why don't we continue to use yours just for some wanting to share mine? And I'll just say, okay, when it's time to advance the slide, because there's not that many of them, and you can continue to run it. Let me just cancel out of this. Go back to you. Okay, perfect. All righty.
They got reformatted when it got embedded. So
that's all right.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move on to this next one. So yes, we are, whenever we're dealing with the public, whether we like it or not, we are in the hospitality business. So we may not have signed up for it, but there are certain expectations that patrons just have when dealing with somebody who is providing services. So that's why these little hospitality tricks of the trade, if you will, can be really helpful. And, obviously, graciousness and kindness and all these wonderful attributes are really important, but it's also kind of important to understand what's making people tick. The next slide. So everything that a patron observes, experiences in the library, they infer meaning and intent to everything. Whether it's waiting for 2 ticks too long for assistance, whatever it may be. And that meaning that they give, this is influenced really strongly by their personal social style, as well by their past experiences with businesses like yours, libraries, for example, whether they are savvy people who are in there all the time or newbies who may be looking for services or assistance, and then just any pre-existing perceptions they may have of your facility. So they're bringing all this little bit of baggage with them when they come in and when you encounter them. Okay, next slide. So my favorite of the 7 habits of highly effective people is speak first to understand, then to be understood. That is just the foundation of great patron care and customer care, is really understanding what somebody else needs. And oh boy, this is so much harder when we're masked. And I've been just in my own experience as a customer in the last few weeks, just realizing we're really kind of grown by not having the full suite, if you will, of facial expressions available. So part of this understanding is going to come from other observations that you make. And one thing that I've been experimenting with while behind my mask is that you can just grin like an idiot behind a mask, which is actually kind of a fun social experiment to do, because when you do grin like an idiot, it actually changes your own chemistry too. Your own neurochemistry is influenced by your smile. So while you might look kind of weird if you didn't have your mask on, if you plaster a big old smile on your face, it shows on the rest of your face too. So it's expressed through your eyes, and it is also coming through in your voice. You can hear it on the phone as well when someone's smiling. Next slide. So rapport, how do we gain rapport with someone quickly? We respond instantly to the nonverbal communication, these little observations we're making. And what's great is we effortlessly connect with people who share the social style that we have. And we all have a certain social style filter that we're experiencing other people through. I have a social style, and we'll be talking about this in a little bit more detail, but mine is expressive. I'm one of those people that talks with my hands and talks a lot and likes to talk. So I filter other people's social styles through mine. I sort of presume, unless I'm already really raising my awareness of this, I just presume that everybody else is an expressive too. So when I deal with somebody who's not as expressive as me, I wonder what's wrong with them. And we all do this. So you can learn to read social styles, and you can start style flexing to other people's social style, and that immediately makes them feel more comfortable and simpatico with you. Next slide. So 2 key variables in social styles. People are either motivated by getting results or by creating relationships. These are the 2 big chunks that influence us. Now, we're not 100% one or the other, but we're going to have a dominant social style that is going to be more reflective of desiring results or bonding with other people and creating relationships. And then there's another overlay, another axis, if you will, which is that people tend to be socially risk averse or risk embracing or willing to take risks. So again, my social style, the expressive social style, is a little more risk taking socially. For example, during our primary this last year, I went out and I knocked doors, which is a really terrifying thing for a lot of social styles. But as a social risk taker, I was willing to knock on people's doors and have conversations with strangers. So that's an example of social risk taking. Next slide. So we're going to go through the 4 primary social styles real quick. The relationship-driven social styles, I've already told you, expressive. And amiable is the other social style. This is the style that predominates in my industry, the old industry, hospitality. Amiable people are nurturing, they're warm, they're social, they're other-oriented. They really value friendship, kindness, loyalty. They're awfully good at holding grudges too, because when loyalty is a big deal to you, the sort of the flip side of that coin can mean they don't forget if they've taken offense at something or if someone has hurt their feelings. They kind of nurse that a little bit. Expressive, creative, talkative, impulsive. A lot of us are in sales. We're in performing arts. We love fun, novelty, innovation. If you tell me it's a new restaurant, that's the one I want to go to. Expressives are just interested in activity and change and engagement. Next slide. And we all start filtering the people we know through these things as we start hearing. So the results-driven social styles are analytical, who are risk-averse, and they are in professions where we want people to be risk-averse, like engineering and accounting and medicine a lot of the time. And then we have our drivers who are risk takers, and drivers can be what we think of as the type A's, the hard chargers. They want fast results. They want to cut the pace. They're the ones that come in and they're in a hurry. They're on a mission. And you have to keep the pace of risk with them and focus on solutions and respond to that energy. If you try to slow someone down who's a driver, they will not react well. If you tell someone to be patient who's a driver, they will not react well. Analyticals are very different. They're very methodical. They're cautious. They love data, and they need time to make decisions. They also don't want to be rushed because they want that quiet to contemplate and think about their options. Analyticals can sometimes seem like they're moving kind of slow, but there's a lot going on inside their heads. So those are the 4 basic social styles that we encounter, and everybody is going to favor one of these. You're going to have a dominant social style. So flip back to that previous slide for a second. And from what I know a little bit of the librarians in my life that I've known, I'm guessing that there are a lot of amiable social styles in the library profession. And I'm guessing there's probably a lot of analytical social styles in the library profession too. An analytical social style would have a much harder time dealing with, waves of the public and dealing with personal requests and dealing with emotional needs on the part of patrons, whereas amiables will rise to that challenge really well. And the expressives, who are the sort of born teachers, they're the ones that love to share and love to explore. And drivers have a tendency to end up in supervisory and management roles and things like that. So just kind of a little bit of a filter for what may appear in your world. Let's go ahead to that next slide again. So when you're dealing with these different social styles, it's important to know yours. And at the end of this, you'll have an opportunity, or after this, you'll have an opportunity to take a little self-assessment. There's all kinds of different tools that are out there for similar self-assessments. Of course, we know about Myers-Briggs and Enneagram and things like this. This is the one that over the years I found it just be the simplest and easiest to work with. And when we brought on a new staff member in our spa, we actually had them do this. And then we would share the social style with the existing staff who already knew what their social styles were. So as soon as we would introduce somebody new, people kind of understood, oh, this is going to be a really successful approach with her, or, oh, I mean, to take it a little easy with this particular. So this is foundational information that can help you in creating rapport with your patrons. Next slide. So again, amiables, they are nurturing, they're caregivers, they're going to want to spend more time with people, they're probably going to spend more time talking with people. We see a lot of people in medical careers with this social style too. Analyticals are probably going to be the ones that are going to fix your computer and deal with your technical issues. Expressives are going to be, more the life of the party, energizers, and also inspirers. They tend to be good team leaders. But know that your patrons are going to come from every single social style that there is. So spending a little bit of time understanding these filters will help you understand how to approach people and how to solve problems for them. So next slide. When you understand their social style, you can flex your own. For example, as an expressive, I'm going to come up and my natural tendency is going to be to try to engage you and talk to you. And if you're an analytical, you're going to literally pull back if I come at you from my expressive. So I would have to consciously tone myself down. I would have to slow down my speech, literally, and not be as, use my physicality as much, not as much gesticulation, and just kind of come into sort of a little more contained, a little bit more calm place. Now, obviously, with patrons in the library, you've got a little bit different vibe going on anyhow. The other thing that you can do is to mirror and match their physicality. Literally, if you have someone who's standing in front of you like this, you can actually, in a subtle way, just mirror that same body language. Again, it goes back to the picking up the glass, putting down the fork thing that you see people on dates doing. People who are creating rapport actually will unconsciously mirror the physicality of the other person. Posture, same thing. You know, a more closed posture, a more open posture. You have a driver who's got that, you know, stronger physical presence, making sure that they feel that confident physical presence from you. And it's really fun, actually, when you start doing it, it kind of becomes habit forming. And also just watching reactions, seeing how people are responding to what you're doing and how quickly people can feel rapport with you and get comfortable with you when you pay attention to where they are coming from, literally, the way that they are communicating and using their body. Okay, next slide. Almost done. So, you'll have an opportunity to do the little assessment on your own time and kind of figure out where you're coming from. Every time you do these, you'll come up with a little bit different combination. Depending on my mood, I would be more driver or more expressive. And but your basic social styles can stay pretty much the same. And then knowing what your coworkers' social styles are almost turns into like comparing astrological signs. Like, oh, she's an expressive, that's why she did that. But it really helps you filter people's responses again, because you filter other people through your social style. Once you are aware of social style, you can be much more objective and much more effective in relating to everybody that you encounter, whether they're patrons or coworkers. So I want to turn it over for questions at this point. You know, case study questions like, that situation where, that kind of question is totally fine. Anything that you have encountered recently that has kind of stumped you from an interpersonal perspective? And I know challenges right now are intense. Everybody's a little bit on edge. And that's also why I recommend the grinning behind your mask technique, because it really helps you relax too. Nobody has to know what's going on back there, but they will feel the good vibes literally from you.
Peggy, I have a question.
Yes.
Is there a way that you might be able to tell someone's social style just like upon their first encounter with you? Like, do people give away in a nonverbal way? I mean, you talked about expressives, obviously talking with their hands, but are there little tips to read nonverbal cues, especially in various environments, like folks coming to the library to be able to pick up items at a curbside service, or if they're coming to the library?
Right, yeah, and then, you know, someone who's picking up something curbside, you're gonna have far fewer clues, right, physical clues. Facial expressions are a good clue. An expressive person, for example, literally has a more expressive face. They will use the muscles in their face a lot more. The amiable social style tends to smile as a default. And frankly, the amiable social style is probably on the surface the easiest person to deal with, but don't take them for granted that they are as happy as they might appear, because they're going to smile as a default. So they tend to be very smiley. And sometimes that obscures someone who might not be as happy or as forthcoming, because there's this kind of default smiliness. Now, again, that's probably going to be hidden from you behind a mask if they're being considerate. But the quickest way to recognize a driver is just the speed and tempo with which they speak. They tend to be kind of quick on the draw. They may cut you off or interrupt you. That's classic driver. And they are always in a hurry. I mean, a lot of people are in a hurry, but drivers are always in a hurry. Analyticals have a tendency to be a bit more quiet, and they do not tend to have very expressive faces. But these are the more information, the more observation you can make of someone, the more accurate it'll be, and especially when they start speaking. But there are a few little things that you can glean right off the top just from facial expression and the speed and emphasis with which they speak. Amiables tend to kind of, they might have a little insecure laugh a lot. That's more typical of an amiable. Expressives tend to be a little louder. And expressives, please know that expressives are the people who will pop off quickly. So if you have somebody that kind of flips from sunny to upset very fast, that's kind of a hallmark of an expressive, is that they're quick to change moods. So things may feel like they're going really well with someone like that, and then all of a sudden, something sharp will be said. They can be turned around. They can be turned around just quickly. However, they express, so they don't have the same filtration that other people do. And analyticals are probably the hardest to read, but that's also kind of a good clue sometimes that you've got an analytical in your hands. Like, I'm not getting any information.
Does anybody else have any questions? What are you guys thinking?
I'll be very curious to see what the social styles are that are most prevalent in the teens too. It'll be interesting. I know my hospitality herd and what they're like, and I'm guessing that there's probably a lot of amiable, analytical kind of intersection in libraries too.
Right.
And that can be a challenge, obviously, when you are in a public-facing situation, especially as public-facing roles, become more prevalent again.
Right.
And you're dealing with stressed out people.
Right. Well, I believe everybody received, but we'll send it out again, the quick survey that you can all take to identify your own style, your own communication style that will, I'm sure that a lot of the secret of all of this is just first with our own self-awareness. And then I think what I heard you say as well is that one of the best ways to kind of connect with anyone is to try to pick up what you think their social style might be and then mirror it so that there's a feeling of simpatico. So it sounds like that's a great tip for just kind of right now.
It is, and it helps make things less personal, which I think is really important. It's very easy to take things personally, especially if a patron's upset or frustrated. It feels personal. And when you take a couple of steps back and realize the filters that you are experiencing them through and that they're experiencing you through, it kind of removes that personalness from the exchange. And it can actually be a lot of fun.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, I'm gonna let anybody. Is there another minute for questions? Anything that's popped up? Grin like an idiot. Yes, Maggie from UNL Base, love that. I do too. Exactly. Okay.